Give it up for Erik, LaPaglia, and Tom Bilyeu, who will be talking about the future is borderless entertainment.
What's up, everybody? Wow. Everybody okay out there? How we doing? Yeah. Okay,
I can tell. Look at that energy.
We
Come
got a couple
on.
people. There it is.
There we
All right.
go.
Now we're getting
Yeah.
somewhere. That's what I like to see, man. Don't let that London weather take too much out of you. Half of London drowned. It was crazy.
Yeah. No.
Getting here was I lived here for a year and I never saw it flood like that. So I don't know what happened, but here we are.
Yeah, we made it.
Here.
Yeah,
We did.
so. How are you?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Outstanding. Outstanding. So we've had this conversation a few times, so I'm excited to share this conversation with you all. When you think about the future of entertainment, what does that look like to you?
Yeah, so the coolest thing that I've heard about why the blockchain is actually changing the future of entertainment came from Michael Saylor. At least that's the first time I heard it. And he said for the virtual world to matter, it must have the properties like matter. And that really hit me, and it felt like it was explaining something that I could feel, but I couldn't articulate to people why exactly the blockchain had changed everything. And so right now, the way that we talk about it is, NFTs, we're talking about protocols and that kind of thing, and it would be a bit like getting people hyped up about the internet by saying, hey, have you heard about this HTTPS protocol? And so we all know intuitively that's not going to be the way that this spreads, and so the question is, how does it spread? And it spreads because the blockchain introduces irreversible transactions. So with that, you now get properties that matter. So I'll give you two. One is that I know that there's a limited quantity of something in the digital world where I did not know that before. And because I didn't know that before, economies were having a hard time springing up. You could get them in a walled garden where, if I bought into your video game and I played your game, I might spend some money on something that had value to me in that game, like a skin or something like that, but it didn't have life beyond that, and so that is going to inherently limit the people building the economic infrastructure that's going to allow that to mushroom into something much bigger. And then the other that digital did not have is I didn't know who possessed it. So okay, let's say that now I know that it's a limited quantity, but I don't know who has what. And so, you hear that comment all the time that possession is 9/10 of the law. So it's like who has the thing matters a lot, but there was no sense of that in the virtual world. And so I had been on Pinterest for years. I had pinned thousands of pins, but I never showed them to anybody. It was never like, oh, look at the stuff that I pinned, because there was no sense of it being mine. Anybody could pin it, so it didn't really feel like it said anything about me or had any special properties. But once the blockchain comes along, now these things, in effect, are physical, and we need another word for that. But they have properties of physical things. And with that, you now have something concrete that you can begin to build a business on top of. Now, the thing that we're building on top of, and the thing that I think is the moment that one day we'll look back and go, oh, that was what actually changed the future of entertainment, and it is very simply that an NFT acts as a signaling molecule. So what people aren't thinking about, it's something that we took from nutrition. So in nutrition, the food that you eat tells your body what to do. So eating a gram of ice cream tells your body something very different than a gram of protein. I know that that is somehow contested, but I assure you that is true. And the same is true for an NFT. And now you walk around with that NFT effectively in your phone, right? I can verify that you own it if you have your wallet on your phone. So now I can create what we call borderless entertainment. And the lines between, oh, I'm watching the movie, or, oh, I'm playing the game, now I'm not watching the movie, now I'm not watching the game, that's going to go away. And so what we're going to get is, because I know that you have that thing, I'm going to be able to get the ability to custom create or trigger a moment of entertainment based on what you have in your wallet, wherever you go. And so the easy way to explain it, what first got me thinking of this before the blockchain was, I don't know if we have any Harry Potter fans in the house.
One.
To get asked that in London? And there's only one? What's happening? So for you and I, this is going to make a lot of sense. So I did the Harry Potter house hat sorting experience, and it told me what house I belonged in. Obviously Gryffindor. And I was totally geeking out of it. I was like, this is amazing. I'm in the Gryffindor house. I was totally pumped on it. And now, as I think back on that experience, which the questions they asked they really felt legit. Like, it didn't feel BS. It felt like if you understood that IP, those questions, even in an individual question, like if you understood what owl I picked, that actually would tell you something about me. And so I thought that was really cool. But then the experience is over and that's it. And I get to tell people I'm Gryffindor, but do they really believe me? So now imagine that you go through that experience and you get an NFT that says, oh, you're Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff, whatever. And you get it. And now imagine that when you go to the underground, because you have that NFT, then the 9 3/4 actually appears. You have to obviously have your phone out to look at an AR experience, or if Uncle Mark keeps moving us all into the future. I know how hated he is, but damn, $15 to $25 billion a year, you can be pretty upset with your uncle, but if he's kicking you that much cash, hard to stay angry for too long. So I'm really optimistic that a lot of these tools are going to come into existence, and we're going to be able to have these experiences where the signaling molecule on my phone says that I'm in Hufflepuff, and then the gate appears through AR. I see it. I get to have some interaction with the story that I wouldn't otherwise get to have, and the person next to me who isn't in Hufflepuff and they have something else, they have a completely different experience. And so now the question is, am I still watching the movie? Am I engaging with the game at this point or not? Now, if engaging with that story in that way then gives me another signifier, could be an NFT, could be a nodule on the NFT I already have, whatever. But now, let's say that anybody that rides the Piccadilly line and has that nodule, you can create an experience there on the subway for me to have that experience. And so I just really started thinking, okay, these are the dumb ideas that I can think of right now with just AR, like things you could do on your phone, but you can push it even further than that. But the punchline is that the nature of the blockchain allows for that entertainment experience to be tailored to you and to be seamless. It's not tied to a screen, it's not tied to a book, but it can engage the screen, the book, the game, and the physical space, and many, many other things.
Rich and immersive. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Rich and immersive and really tailored to the suite of things that you personally care about.
I don't know if anybody else caught this. I was actually more intrigued that you pinned 4,000 images. I'd be interested to see what those are. So let's extend that conversation to the project that you have. Founder keys, any key holders here? No? I am.
All right, got a few. Good to see you.
So I've heard you talk about this a little bit before, but let's talk about that. Let's talk about what you're building for Project Kaizen specifically. Where do you see that going, and how is that going to be ostensibly the driver of your media empire going forward?
Yeah, so if you guys know, back in the day, Marvel used to call themselves the House of Ideas, and that always resonated with me. Now, they hit a point in the 90s where they stopped trying to create new IP, and they just started making use, and tremendous use, and I have nothing but positive things to say what they've done in the modern era. It's absolutely breathtaking. But they have given up the mantle of being the House of Ideas, and that is the role that we see ourselves as stepping into. So at Impact Theory, we're developing our own IP. We solicit IP from the community and beyond, and want to use a crowd validation tactic to get people, and for anybody that is into Japanese anime or manga, you will know this is how they've come to dominate the world in this form of entertainment. So you get the crowd to validate, to vote what should make it to the next level, and then you continue to develop things that way. So we saw ourselves as a new House of Ideas, so we wanted to create a key that would unlock the future of all these different projects that we were working on. So the idea became to create the key, which was our first NFT, and then that NFT would grant you the ability to access a lot of different things. And so the first one was a new piece of IP called Mary Mods. You could get a free Mary Mod just by being a key holder. The keys also get you access to Project Kaizen, which is our all-encompassing, the shell that holds all of our IP. If you think of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, this would be akin to that. We're not trying to be lofty with all the intersections right now, but we wanted to build something that was a container for that. So we knew that we were going to have this umbrella idea where we were going to create a lot of things, but there needed to be one thing above everything, and everything else situated neatly under that. And so that big thing are the keys that then unlock the different IP. We're an entertainment company, so we see it as unlocking different projects and different access to those projects. And then from an avatar perspective, we have a slightly different vision, which we want you to be the avatar to actually create your identity. So rather than go find the project that most resonates with your identity, we want to create the pieces that you assemble into the avatar that you think represents you, and then give you the ability in a gasless environment to put it together, mint it to the blockchain, unmint it, and it's still the constituent pieces or NFTs themselves, and then reconfigure, remint it back to the blockchain. And every time you mint it back to the blockchain, you get a one-of-one PFP and a fully rigged 3D avatar. And so you can take that fully rigged 3D avatar into our experience, or as standards come out, they're not yet, but we build on Unreal 5. So this will be anybody playing in spatial web, as long as they use OBJ files, you'll be able to use it as you well know. I don't know how much you talk about it publicly, but if you have an OBJ file, it would work with what we've built. And so we're trying to make it as universal as possible and as customized to the individual as possible.
So let's get lofty. Let's say that, everything starts to, like, the foundational elements are there for you. What's the blind spot? What's the missing piece for where we go from here? Where's the next level that you'd like to take this to once everything else works out perfectly?
Well, there's where I want to take it to, and there's where's the blind spots. So the blind spots there are the ones that we know, right? So if we have any Americans here, the SEC is really holding a sword of Damocles over our heads, and that's wildly disrupted the innovation in the space. And so for any Americans here, I beg of you to vote. I don't care which way you vote, but just vote so that people know what the people actually want. I think that would be amazing, because I am very saddened by the climate that we're in right now. It will, as you said before we came on, the genie's out of the bottle. You can't unring the bell. It is going to happen. It really is an inevitability, but the next 3 years can get really awkward. And unfortunately, I think they will very effectively be able to delay. And as somebody that doesn't want to see that, so that's the thing that I don't know. And so that certainly keeps us very cautious in our approach. And where I want to take this is I really believe that entertainment is going to become just like the book Ready Player One. Anybody read the book Ready Player One? Okay. I know a lot of people watched the movie. In fact, out of curiosity, how many saw the movie Ready Player One? Yeah, so more people saw the movie than read the book. But the book actually, like, if you want that artifact that was written, 10 years ago now, that I think really accurately predicts the future, read the book. And the part that I really want people to take away from it is that what ends up being created are intimate experiences. So the vast majority of the time that you're going to spend in the metaverse isn't going to be in a big combat zone. There will be a type of player that spends a lot of their time there, but the vast majority of your time are going to be in intimate experiences. It could be a classroom. It could be in the book. Somebody lovingly recreates all of the John Hughes neighborhood from the 80s when he was making all of his films into one Chicago neighborhood that you can walk around and talk to the characters. That's really going to happen. Like, and you guys, I'm sure, have seen the entirely AI written and generated interview between Joe Rogan and Steve Jobs. Okay, that's today. What does that look like in a year, 5 years? If you guys don't already feel this, I can tell I want to get up and start getting into my preacher mode here. If you don't feel what's happening in AI, AI is here right now. AI is not a tomorrow thing or a year from now thing. Right now, you can type in some text and get an interview between Joe Rogan and Steve Jobs. And Rogan sounds indistinguishable from himself, down to the way, like, if he trails off on a point, he's like, whatever. Like, the AI did that because there's so many hours of footage of him. And so we're going to be able to, with scripting, feed in movies or feed in the books or feed in whatever, and then procedurally generate that town. Then you can go in and tweak it and morph it and all that stuff and do this incredible stuff. But like right now today, so we've already had one of our characters from Project Kaizen take over the Discord and show up in character. We're going to, in the very near future, be able to have the character take over and show up as an avatar. And we could have that be a real person through mocap enacting something. So we could do live dramas set in our NFT world. This is stuff we're capable of today. So you can imagine, we can do it live, we could do it AI generated. People can create their own stuff. So our goal at Impact Theory and what we're trying to do with Project Kaizen is basically create, and we don't need it to be us, I just need it to be somebody, but we want to create an infrastructure that allows people to have like the YouTube of metaverse style storytelling. So you've got all the 3D assets, you've got the AI, and you just start putting them together, plugging it together in the way that you want, using text to image, text to video, text to characterization, like all of it, and you can assemble this world. Now that world could be you revealing what it was like to be 7 and being, living in an abusive household. And all of these incredibly intimate, real experiences are going to happen. Now, there's also going to be amazing games, and we're going to do all that. But like when people really start to think about why this is going to change things forever, you're now going to allow me to live in your experience and in a way where it will take on a life of its own. Now, of course, people are going to be worried about, the T-1000, and we can have that conversation. But there's going to be a really fun 10 years where people aren't getting killed, and it's just amazing. I'm super optimistic about that. But as people begin to understand that, and then we think, okay, what are all the graph points that we have to hit for this to be real? And right now, this moment, literally the last month, you've seen so much AI come online. If you haven't played with DALL-E, which is just one, if you haven't played with DALL-E yet and seen what it can output, it's really incredible. And so there are a lot of very smart people creating this stuff, trying to put the tools in your hands so that you can make these just insanely intimate, amazing, beautiful, unexpected stories.
So the takeaway, ladies and gentlemen, is before the robot apocalypse, it's going to get really, really good.
We're going to have a sweet spot. Yeah.
Okay.
There's going to be a moment.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Tom. Always just dropping nuggets.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.